All right, all right. Here we go. Woo, it's a hot. Let's wait for a couple people to come on. Wow, man, it's a hot. Man, let's get some live people in here. Check out that cup. That cool. Pretty neat. It's pretty neat that you can do stuff like this, the cups and stuff. Pretty cool. Wow, what a hot day. I'm sweating to death. Hope everybody's doing good. Everybody's doing well. Right, all right, all right. So we got someone on here. How you doing? Can you hear me all right? Is the audio okay? Give me a thumbs up. That works. The audio is good. I'm just like dying. I'm sweating to death. So I figured we do another two-stroke Tuesday. I feel like I've been doing lives now for a couple weeks now, but there's been little small ones in between. It's been great. It's been awesome. So I'm getting out to the truck and getting some stuff done. So brought some literature and I got some information tonight, guys. Got some tech on the live. Yeah, that's what we're gonna call this one. Tech on the live. Should do that. Tech on the live Thursdays. Possibility? No, yeah, no. So the reason why I'm doing this particular episode is because I get a lot of I get bombarded with questions, and some of the questions I get I could do in a video, and I'm going to put them in videos too, but I want to address them here with you guys. So this way, if you have any questions, I can answer them, which is one of the beauties of having a two-stroke Tuesday. And as you can see, I'm still dirty from working. So that's the purpose of this particular live is for some tech, which is what I've been trying to get done, but haven't had the ability to due to all the stuff that's going on. So ignition, spark, points, condensers. I get inundated with a lot of questions about ignition systems. And you got some people saying, well, if you're going to gap the points, just gap them with a piece of cardboard. Or my grandfather used to do it with a business card. Okay. And that works on a car, not on a dirt bike. And it depends on what type of bike you're working on, because some bikes are between 12 and 14,000, like the KE, the KD, and the KM, that engine family, and then you have other bikes like the Suzuki, like this particular guy right here. The point gap is different, and I can tell you, I have seen countless people take a hammer and try to shock the flywheels loose, break the magnet, and say, Kevin, oh my God, I can't find this thing anywhere. Where can I get one? Well, why'd you break it? Why'd you whack it with a hammer? Oh, to take it off. That's how they said to take it off. Whack it with a hammer. And that's not the case. In fact, the tool that you can be using is called a flywheel puller. And I keep one in this little bag right here, keep it safe and clean. This right here, this little guy right here, screws onto the flywheel. Some of these have reverse threads, like this particular model right here. But if you look on this right here, you can see how it has threads on this side and a smaller set on this side, because this particular flywheel tool does two different models. Okay, and on one of the sides, you can't really see it, but on one of the sides, right there. Anyway, it tells you the size, and not the size bite, but the size of the thread and the pitch, and if it's reverse or forward thread. Anyway, this screws into your flywheel, and this bolt right here tightens up and pops the flywheel off. And this tool is a crucial part of the tool, a crucial part of doing a tune-up on any bike. Okay, on any bike. And this particular tool you can pick up on eBay for like 10 to 15 bucks. Okay, sometimes even cheaper. And I'm going to say, if you guys buy a used bike, one of the things you should always ask, is there any specialty tools like a manual or a flywheel puller that go with the bike? And so oftentimes what you'll hear is, "Oh yeah, hold on a second. I did get a manual for that. I don't need it. I'm selling you the bike." So then you can go and it'll be, "Oh, great." And then they'll give you the manual. That's how I get a lot of my manuals, by the way, is I always ask, "Hey, do you have the manual for that bike?" And I go online and on Marketplace and I'll type in manuals and see what there is. And typically there's a lot. Like they'll have like 4 or 5 manuals and they'll be asking like 10, $20 for them. Sometimes even more. I bought a lot of 8 for 100. Okay. That's a good deal to me because this is these are invaluable. Okay. This is great literature. Um, so especially like on a trail bike, okay, Suzuki, 89 cc's and up, right there. This is one of my manuals I use. On those particular bikes, my KE 100. I asked if you had any manuals, and they gave me this one. I got another KE 100. Actually, funny story on this book. This book came with the one that you see on my channel all the time. My 80 my 92, the one that's now all green. This is the manual right here. I said, hey, by the way, is there any stuff that comes with it? Here's what he gave me. He gave me a 6-volt battery charger. He gave me this right here and the flywheel tool. Thought that was pretty cool. So, whenever you get a bike, okay, the first thing you should always do, even though you have my channel to reference, you should always try to buy the manual and the tune-up tools that go with that bike. Now, there are kits you can buy. So this right here is about $5 to $10. I'm sorry, $10 to $15 on eBay. You can get them on Amazon. Sometimes you can find them cheaper. If you work on the bikes like I work on bikes, you'll get the master kit. This master kit has, and these are all double-sided. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 different size flywheel pullers. And these right here, if you work on the bikes like I do, especially on the channel, you need something like that. But it doesn't hurt to have, the one particular one you need for your bike. So keep that in mind. Also, thing you're going to need is a set of feeler gauges. Okay. Now these right here are made by OEM, and you can get these. Any auto parts store has them. Okay, and you just got to make sure that it has the measurement in your book, the 13 thousandths, like on the KE 100, that you need. Now, filler gauges are also another cheap tool. These aren't very expensive. Depends on what type you get. Okay, but the OEM ones, they're right around $15. So between the two, you're going to be 30, free shipping. Oftentimes, you can find them on Amazon. You don't even have to get OEM. You can get a cheap knockoff one. Okay, you're not building an engine with them. Okay, it doesn't have to be it's a measurement tool, so it's got to be precise. But if it was a hair off, that's okay. You're fine with that. Now, if you're like me and you do this professionally, then you'll end up with something that looks like these. These are my Snap-on feel gauges, but these I use at work. Okay, these aren't my home set. All right, I brought these home to show you guys. You don't need. Here we go. Okay, how you doing? Not much. These you don't have to buy. You do not have to buy $80 worth of feel gauges to fix a 40, 50-year-old bike. You don't. A perfectly $10, $15 tool will work absolutely perfect for what you're doing. Can you guys hear me all right? It just says I have lost connection. Can you guys give me a thumbs up if you guys hear me? Just want to make sure that. I just saw the numbers go up. Okay, cool. Thank you, guys. So yeah, definitely. So you don't have to buy Snap-on or Macco or anything like that. OEM tools. You can go on. What do you call it there? geez, Amazon, like I said, any auto parts store will have these. So keep that in mind. Now, manuals. Manuals was the other question. Can I use Climber? Do I have to use Haynes? Because sometimes in my videos I'll use a Climber manual, and or I'll use a Haynes. And these guys both are very good manuals. Both of them, I use both of these manuals religiously. Okay. In fact, oftentimes, just for fun, I'll compare and say, hey, what does this guy have for spec? What does this guy got for spec? Are they the same? They're always dead on. So, realistically, the information that you're getting in both of these manuals are top quality. There is some other off-brand manuals, like for my KV75, I have a Kawasaki manual. So this one right here. Now this manual right here is a factory manual. If you can get a factory manual, well, this is the holy grail. This is the Bible. And I got that in a couple of I got that for the KDM, the KM, and the KD80. This is a manual that I got right here. Okay, so this is for those bikes. And if you're familiar with the engine families and you know what's compatible and what's the same, can someone please call Bear? Then you'll find that these manuals right here have pretty much the same information in them. So don't hesitate. Go online, look for the manual for your bike, and it's always good to read up on it because there's going to be tips and tricks in these too that's going to help you along your way. Like checking to see where things are and how to check the proper fluid, the proper chain tension, deflection of the chain. So keep that type of stuff in mind when you buy a manual because that's really what you want. And the owner's manual, if you can pick up an owner's manual or a digital copy of your bike's owner's manual, that will also have that information to help you out as well. So, awesome. Cool, cool, cool. So there is that. Um, the question I've been getting a lot with the ignition and relative ignition stuff is what is the ohms of my coil? What is the ohms of the pickup coils? And that information is kind of hard to find in these manuals. Okay, some of that stuff, that type of tech, is not really found in these manuals. It's found in the Kawasaki manuals, but not so much in the Climber. You can get a ballpark, so I don't really give that information out because it's not 100% accurate. But I can tell you this, okay? This is the best way to check your points. If you have a points bike, not CDI, so if you're working on a KE100, that is, what do you call it there? I can't even see if this is successfully connected. Okay, all right. If you're working on a Kawasaki, hey, Michael, can you check to see if I'm live on this? Because this thing keeps acting up, and I really can't tell. Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. Awesome. Good. Thank you. It keeps giving me like all kinds of like things that you're off, you're on, and I'm like, am I off? Am I? So okay. So anyway, like I was saying, the best way to tell if your points and condenser are working and are good, you take the black wire off your ignition and you hold it right up against the block, and you kick the bike over. Okay, you'll see the spark on that black wire. It comes off your magneto. You'll see it arc right there. It's cutting out occasionally. Okay, thank you. Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's like flickering and giving me all kinds of weird things I've never seen before. So, so anyway, you take that black wire and you hold it up against your bike. Now, this is not going to run the bike, but when you kick the bike over, you'll see that arc. If you watch that video I did on the DS 100 motor that I picked up, it's like a couple videos back, like 3 or 4 videos back. You'll see exactly how I did that. So I had my son Michael hold the bike down. I checked it for compression, and I wanted to see if the ignition was good in the motor because I don't have a coil, so I can't check for spark. So this is the cool thing. What you do is when I said you hold that wire up against the black wire, the little thin black wire comes off the magneto, hold that up against the block, kick the motor over, you'll see that wire spark. That means your ignition is good. Let's move on and go to the ignition coil. Now you plug that wire into your coil, you kick the bike over, you should have spark. If you don't, your coil's bad. If you do, then you have another problem with the bike. The other thing I run into is compression. People always ask me, Kevin, what is a good compression? My bike has 90 psi. For a lot of people, think that's good because on a four-stroke engine, it will run. On a two-stroke, it won't. A two-stroke will not run on 90 psi. Okay, and if it does, God forbid, start, it's going to have no power. Okay, none at all. So what you got to do? Okay, the first thing with compression is the head is only held on there on like the KEs and the KMs, the smaller two strokes. It's held on with 4 bolts. First thing you want to do is take that head off. Okay, if you got low compression, take a look at the cylinder. Is it scored? Is the top of the piston all burnt up and pitted? Is there a hole in it? These are all types of things that you're going to be looking for. So the first thing you're going to do is determine your spark and your compression. Those are your two first bugaboos right there. Once you get those two obstacles done, the rest is easy. So now you're looking in your cylinder. It's all scored up. Okay, that explains my low compression. I'm done. Now I got to find out why it has low compression. Now, typically, if the cylinder is scored on the exhaust side, so where the exhaust port comes into the head or to the cylinder, if it's all scored over there, that's typically an air leak. Hi, Nicole. It's typically an air leak. Okay, that means it could be a crank seal, it could be a bad gasket, a loose head, a loose spark plug. You're sucking air from someplace. Okay, and that's what you need to find. Now, if it's scored on the intake side, okay, now that's a different problem. What could that be? That could be a dirty air filter, and the dirt is coming into the cylinder and sandblasting it. Okay, so that would be the what do you call it there? The signs of scoring over there. So then I know the cylinder is round, but on the edges of the cylinder, so you get your port in the middle, okay, and then on the side you could see a line. Okay, if you see a line on one side or on both sides of the port, um, thank you. Not a bad looking shirt. You should see the back of it. I'll show you that after. Um, but what do you call it there? If you see those on the, I call them the corners of the cylinder because it's past the ports. That right there is typically an overheating scoring. Okay, these are different scenarios. There's a few others in between, but those are the most common ones on these bikes. Okay, detonation could be from low octane, bad pour fuel, and that would be a hole in the piston. But the cylinder is just it's done. It looks like it's been sandblasted. So those up. Can someone call Bear, please? Um, those are all engine failures, but the most critical one to fix is the one where it's scored on the exhaust. And the reason why that one is because you got to find out where that air leak is, what caused that. Because if you could put another cylinder and piston on and burn that one right back up, because if it was leaking on the crank seal and you didn't replace the crank seal, you just replaced the top end, boom. So, yeah. So hey, Larry. Oh, a whole bunch. In fact, I'm going to stop where I was saying right there. Want to adjust Larry on this one. We're going down to Rice-A-Rama in Spencer, Massachusetts on the 7th and 8th of next month. I'm looking forward to it. We're going to do a meet and greet, sell some products, some nice cool shirts, all kinds of cool stuff. And then back on the cylinder part. Okay? So with every problem, there's a cause. And once you find out, how you doing? Once you find out the cause, Then you can fix that and then confirm you fixed it. What are some of the signs of a leaky crank seal? Well, the engine has a hard time idling down. Awesome, thank you. It has a hard time idling down. The RPM, what? You have to throttle it. It should go, oh, might fall on its face. It doesn't. It stays up at the high L and then slowly idles down. That's typically a leaky seal or a gasket, something in that realm. Um, White smoke, like not the gray, like not the bluish gray that you see with two-stroke oil, which they really don't smoke that much anymore. The new modern oils prevent that from happening. But the if you have a bike that's been sitting for a long time, so you picked it up out of a barn, and you left the two-stroke oil, that'll run it, which it will. It will. Oil don't go bad. Um, but you run it, and then you go, Jesus, this thing is killing every mosquito on this side of the country, and it's just pure white smoke. That right there is also a sign of a leak, an air leak. So keep that in mind. I'm trying to put my go ped. Be very careful when you're porting. Make sure that the cylinder is not nickel-siled, because if it's a nickel-siled cylinder and you go past the port part and into the jug, you're going to take the nickel-sil off on that. So keep that in mind. What do you call it there? And just be careful with how much you do, because remember, a bigger port is not necessarily a better port. Okay, we'll get into that later on too. So you got to find the problem with the bike. And to do that, to find the leak, you have to pressure test it. You're welcome. Once you make a pressure test, a pressure test kit. So I have a video on pressure testing my KE 102 build motor after I build it, which is one of the things. Can someone please call Bear and put him outside? I like to pressure test my motors because after I build an engine, this thing's got to hold at least 3 to 5 bar, and they want to hold 3 to 5 bar for like three minutes or so. I go to 7 minutes. I want this thing to be sealed up to the gills. I like them. I like my engine nice and sealed, and periodically I like to check it out. Um, Fresh paint on a new motor. Okay, there's controversial things on that because paint in an engine will help you. Okay, so this tip is going to help you out a lot. When you paint an engine after it's all built and sealed, okay, the paint is an acrylic, so it's gonna, if there's any little imperfections in that gasket, like where it might possibly leak, that could actually seal it up, which is not a bad thing. The controversial part is painting a cylinder black, okay, because black attracts heat. You want your cylinder to be as paint free as possible. So you don't want to have like a whole ton of layers of paint to cover up the cast iron or aluminum. So because that, for the heat, the thickness, and it's harder for the heat to dissipate. So keep that in mind. That's one of the biggest things with painting an engine. Paint it all you want. I love a painted engine. I prefer them to look original as possible, so you don't find me painting many of my engines. I like to see what they're doing and how they're doing it, but you can paint them. So there are people out there saying, "Oh, never paint a cylinder head and never paint your cylinder because it makes it harder for the heat to dissipate." No, that heat's going to dissipate. The air going over it's going to cool it, and you're going to be okay. Hey, Kane, how you doing? So keep that in mind. A painted engine is not going to overheat on you. You obviously just want to have less, the least amount of paint on the cylinder. That's fine. You don't want to just keep going over and over and over again. So keep that in mind. What else is there? So we covered pressure testing because that's a big part of that. Oh, we were talking about the ignition and the compression. Next thing is the fuel. These are the things you need to have when you're going to get any bike. If you pick any bike up, it doesn't matter if it's 2-stroke or 4-stroke. You're going to have to go through all these type of things, all these type of things. I'm going to be putting together a video on what to look for and how to check and test. So that will be coming up very, very soon. One of the things with the fuel system is obviously pull the carburetor off, tear it down, and take a look and see the condition of it. Because the bikes that we deal with are old and they've been sitting around for God only knows, the condition of the environment that they were sitting in. Was it in a basement that's been damp and moist? Or was it in a garage that has seen winter, summer, spring, fall? In New England, they don't spring, summer, and fall don't go in order. Okay. You can literally have spring in the middle of summer. You can have winter in the middle of fall and vice versa. You can have fall in the spring. I know it's New England. It's terrible. But those type of dramatic changes in weather, they put dew on everything. Then the dew is a moisture. It goes in, it rots things out. But anyway, carburetors, it'll turn the insides white. Okay. So you have to take the bowl off. Is it clean? Is it dirty? Does the float move? Does the float seat? Those are things that you have to check for. If you get the flow seating, can you get fuel into the carburetor? Well, one of the coolest things I do, I know I got to show it off again, guys. I'm proud of this. This is cool. Look at this cup. Ain't that cool? So anyway, one of the things that is cool is you can leave the bowl off, hook a fuel line up to that carburetor inlet, turn the petcock on, see if fuel runs out, and then gently put the float up. Not just until it just seats. Okay. See if fuel trickles past it. Okay. If it does, then you have a bad needle and seat. The other thing you can do too is if you take the fuel line, if you get a longer piece and go to the ground, okay, put it onto the carburetor, flip the carburetor upside down, let the weight of the float hold it closed, and see if it trickles out. If it trickles out, then you also know your needle and seat is bad. On the KE 100s and the KM 100s, they go all the time. So I don't have it with me, but this is going to sound crazy, but I'm a crazy guy. Okay. I don't use Kawasaki needle and seats or needles anyway in my carburetors anymore. Big secret coming up, guys. Guess what I use? Briggs & Stratton. Yep, a lawnmower needle and seat. I actually have the part number, and after I get done doing this, I'm going to put it in the description, okay? The reason why I use a Briggs & Stratton needle in the Kawasaki car or the Mikuni carburetors, one, it fits. Two, it's got a neoprene or rubber tip on it and seals a lot better than the solid steel one, because the steel one literally it just oblongs the hole, and then even when it seats in, it leaks past that little opening. So I've been using the Briggs & Stratton ones now. I love them. You can get them anywhere. Any small engine shop can get them. You might have to order them, but you can get them on eBay, Amazon, or anything like that. So yeah, I cheat. And typically I do that because, once again, it's a convenience thing. When you have a lot of bikes like I do, you kind of want to mitigate your problems that you could possibly have with them. So that's one of my cheats. Then the other thing you want to make sure is that you have fuel flow from the petcock. The petcock, I see a lot of people putting inline fuel filters, and that's bad. Here is why it's bad: because it's not needed, and the fuel line is close to the head, so the fuel is actually getting hot. If you look at the placement of the petcock in relation to the cylinder, it's actually further away. But when you put a fuel filter in line, it actually, like this, it gets closer. So where is the fuel filter on the bike? Well, the bike actually has two fuel filters already in it. One of them is inside the bowl on the petcock. So if you're looking at the petcock where the needle is, right underneath is a bowl and it's got like a 10 millimeter head on it. You can take that off, look up inside there should be a screen. If it doesn't, then you have to replace the screen, or you can clean that. You can clean that with carburetor spray or anything like that. The second filter, if you drain the tank down, you take the two screws off and you pull the petcock down. There's the other screen. So I get a lot of questions about petcocks because people are like, why are there two? There's one's a tube with no filter, and then the other one's just a filter screen. Well, I'll tell you, that longer one is for your reserve. And the way that works, okay, is when you're driving the bike on regular, okay, you got your fuel petcock setting over to regular, and what happens is you're driving, the fuel level's dropping, right? See, for every mile it starts to drop and drop and drop. There's no fuel gauge, so your fuel gauge is that longer tube. Now the fuel gauge starts to go past it. The bike starts to hesitate. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, at that point, you turn it on to reserve, and now that one that's next to it, the one that's a filter screen that goes all the way from the bottom to the just a filter screen. That's one filter. That's going to go from the top of that petcock, that tube, the rest of the way down. That's your reserve. That's how the reserve works. And that'll allow you to get to your destination or a gas station, which is typically it's about a 50-mile radius, if you will. Jake, thoughts on wide what? Well, I don't have my glasses. Hold on. I thought I brought my glasses over here. Oh, they're here. I need my glasses to find my glasses. Wide Wilson's case. I don't know what that is. I'm not sure what that is, Jay. But what do you call it there? But so that's how that is. I also have gotten some questions about fuel caps because you were driving around and it'll look like the fuel line is run out of fuel, but you got plenty of fuel in there. So you take the tank cap off to look inside the tank, and next thing you know, your fuel line's full again. That means that your fuel cap is not venting. Every single fuel cap has a vent in it. Some are on the side, like if you flip it upside down, and you'll see where you put your fingers on to twist the cap off. There's little spots. Well, one of those spots will have a hole in it, and it'll go to the center of the cap, and that's your tank vent. What that does is that lets fresh air go into the tank so that the fuel level can drop. When you're driving the bike and the fuel level is trying to drop, it creates a vacuum, and then that vacuum will not allow fuel to flow through the fuel line. So this is why on my bikes you'll see me use a colored or a clear. Well, they're all clear, but like a clear colored one, like a blue line or a yellow line, so I can literally see the fuel flow. That I try to match it to the bike. You can buy different color fuel lines to match your bike, or if you have an inline filter, which is you don't really need, but if you had one, you could literally see the fuel inside there. And if that thing was bone dry, then you would know to open up your cap and see that. Some of the early bikes, or like the small bikes that are made to go in like the trunk of a car, like the KE100s, or not the KE100s, the KV75s, like these ones are here. On the oil cap that's inside the reservoir and on top of the fuel cap, it literally has a knob. It says vent on, vent off, and you would shut it off, both of them, so when you put it in the car, it wouldn't leak. And that's what that is. But oftentimes, what would happen is people would forget to turn the caps on, and it would either stop it out of fuel or out of oil. So there's a pro and con to that. You have to know if you have to really know your bike, is what I'm saying on that one. So, um, so basically, you want to make sure your tank is free, your cap is venting, your tank is free and clear of debris, no rust, or if there is rust, what type of rust is good? Stained rust, but nothing chunky. Okay, you don't want flaky rust inside of a tank that'll clog up the filters, and that'll give you a poor running condition. But if it's stained with rust and it's not leaking, you're okay to run it. In the event that you are using a rusty tank, not the type that's really bad, but not like the thick scaly rust, but like the faint, you know, it's just got a coat in a rust. Okay, you cleaned it, you did the best you could with it, you didn't seal it, it's not leaking. However, you can still see the smooth rust. That's okay. That's the time when I would use a second fuel filter to make sure that you got all the debris out of that tank. That's really what you want to make sure. And then that's like your insurance policy, if you will. So and then fuel flow out of the petcock. So your tank cap, tank condition, petcock, fuel lines. Let's talk about fuel lines for a moment. A good fuel line, you should be able to flex, bend, and twist. Okay. If you cannot do that and the line is formed and is crusted, okay, to the point where it feels really hard, that's the time to replace that fuel line. One of the most overlooked lines is the oil line because it just basically it's at the back of the motor. It doesn't do nothing. But those are they typically leak because what happens is the oil, rubber and oil don't go together. They never have, they never will. They haven't made a really good seal for oil. Even in the automotive world, oil like on timing belts, you get like a Volvo and it's got the timing belt inside the crankcase and it's splashing in the oil. That oil deteriorates the rubber, makes it stretchy, and makes it not do what it's supposed to do. Sometimes it makes it hard and brittle. And when that happens, it can break. So you're going to want to make sure that your oil line is free and clear. And if you have to take it off of a plastic tank, you want to cut the line in the direction of the nipple and then take it off. Do not try to twist it because you'll twist the nipple off. But back on the fuel line should be the same way. It should be able to flex, should go through the grommet into the carburetor without issues, and you should have a clamp up top and a clamp down bottom. What's this one? I have a 1972 MT1. Nice bike. It's running the air filter. Vintage Kawasaki cells is reproductions. Yeah, I know they're expensive plus shipping. Yeah, from Canada. Cool. Any elements? Unfortunately, there's not a Chinese clone for that. What you can do is you can go get some air filter foam and wrap it around with some mechanics wire. Um, that's what I do on my bike. I just get regular air filter foam from Amazon. It comes in a sheet. It's like I think it's like 10 by 12 or 11 by 8. Almost looks like a sheet of paper, but it's you can get it in different thicknesses. Doesn't really matter. And then you get mechanics wire. It's like a really thin wire, and I go around the top, and then I twist it, overlapping one end, and then I do the same because it's at a cone. You just do it that way. Yeah, that's how I do the MT1s. So I know it's kind of a pain in the neck with those filters because they don't make a good aftermarket one. They reprint the casing, but the factory filters are so far and few, long gone. Just but yeah, I mean the reprints are hard. Like you said, 270 for an airbox. They should be ashamed of themselves. And it's not really a bike you really want to put a cone filter on because I'm sure the rest of the bike is all original. So, but what are you gonna do? Just gotta try to fabricate your own on that one. When Pete hates Kawasaki. Oh yeah. Oh oh, yeah. I know which one you're talking about. Vintage Kawasaki. I was gonna buy a couple parts from them before, and they're just so expensive. You know, for what they are. Like the pegs. Take the pegs on that bike, for instance. They're the same ones on the G3 SS. The twist grip and the controls. The Kawasaki G3 SS, same controls, just different decals. Literally same controls, different decals, and they're like $100 more. It's ridiculous, you know. Same thing with the shocks. Same bike, G3 SS has them, and that's a 90cc, and it shares a lot of the same parts I've been finding out headlight, all that type of stuff. Don't make the Kawasaki people mad at me. I don't mind sharing my secrets and my tips and tricks with you guys because I know that you guys are going to use them in the field, and I know that you guys appreciate what I do on this channel. As a learning channel and as a teacher, you know, I'm just trying to get you guys to have the best experience with your vintage two-stroke that you could possibly have. That's my goal, and that's what I'm aiming to do. And I'm very honored to be part of this community as a motorcycle mechanic, as a car mechanic, as just a mechanic in general that's been messing with these particular bikes for over 30 years. I enjoy sharing this experience with you guys. The and there's no such thing as a stupid question. So I appreciate that. So I want you guys to understand that. Um, man, we this channel's come a long way, and I'm looking forward to um getting back into the shed after the what do you call it there? The swap meet down in Spencer, Massachusetts, Ricerama. So if you guys have a chance to get out there, I know you're in Pennsylvania, but if you have a chance to get out to Spencer, Mass, I'll be there on September. Yeah, we call it September 8th. Can someone please call Bear and what do you call it there? Come out and say hi. You know, see what we're doing. Pick yourself up a shirt. Oh, I'll show you the back side of the shirt. This is my purple shirt. I love this purple color. I think it looks good on me. So on the front, I'm going to move you back this way here, guys. A second. There you go. Okay, so on the front is my Just Kick It logo, but on the back, don't mind my big fat belly, is the logo. I don't know if you can see that or not, but what do you call it there? My KE100. But yeah, we're gonna be out there. My wife's gonna be out there. You can meet my family and say hi to them. Pick yourself up a nice cup. These things are awesome, and I love this cup. You know what? One of the cool things is I was born in '76. Okay, and so the 1980s was when I was little, coming up, and I'll tell you, I love the '80s bikes. I love the '80s colors. I love the like the lasers. I know it's corny. I know it's crazy, but I like it, and I like sharing all that stuff with you guys. So that's part of it. But yeah, the plates. My wife did the plates. Plates are coming out great. Um, we're gonna be there all day selling some parts for different bikes, all kinds of stuff. So yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool. Just some stuff I got like a fairing. I got what do you call it? Yeah, I got some side covers and stuff I've been trying to get rid of. But yeah, we're gonna be out there. It's gonna be a lot of fun meeting people, checking out the place. Never been to the swap meet, so um, Jap Bike Mike, he was really awesome to talk to. Great guy. He's like, Kevin, yeah, come out, bring a hibachi. Yeah, the gate locks on, up at 9. So yeah, everybody's gonna be there. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to meeting a lot of people. And my signs got done for the truck, so that's pretty cool. I don't know if I could show it on my channel, um, but I got a picture of it. Let's see if I can my gallery. Boom, boom. See if we go like this. But my truck I got for my brother. There's the big giant emblem on there. You can't see it with the light, but yeah, it came out super cool. and it's a 4x4 sign. It's got my logo on it, so that'll be there. You'll see that. Big shout out to Clay. Thank you for the van, and yeah, it's pretty cool. And fast signs, fast sign. They did the sign, and when I tell you they did it fast, they did it super fast. They should just take that fast sign down, throw that in the trash. They should make their own one says super fast signs. I'm telling you, they did a good job, and high quality. I mean, I was just very happy. Uh, what's this? The swap. Yeah, Ben. Yeah. No, I haven't actually. We're just starting to get into the swap meet scene. And this one's at the fairgrounds, so it make a pretty cool thing. Um, Next year, I think that early we're going to get into a little bit more into the swap meets, coming out there and meeting you guys, meeting more of my subscribers. Um, it's been a trip when I tell you. This channel has grown. We're only at 11,912 subscribers, and I can't wait to see what the future holds because we're growing at a really good, comfortable rate. And for a channel that does just vintage bikes, I mean, it's not a talk show or anything like that. And I'm far from a celebrity, so just having that, it's been crazy. So I'm looking forward to just getting out there. Um, Hopefully, can host a bike run. I got to do that next year. I'm gonna probably see if I can do my first motorcycle two-stroke ride. Um, I have to see about doing that, but do something, host something, maybe a gathering. Maybe something that'll be yearly or annually as a bike run or something like that. Like maybe a charitable event or something on those lines. It depends. I mean, who knows what the future brings? And the way this channel has grown and it's been amazing. You guys have just been. I'm blessed. Let's just put it that way. My subscribers have been great. My comments have been great. It's just been. I really can't complain. I really can't complain. I mean, I'm here doing my two-stroke Tuesday. Like I said, I haven't done a video in a bit. I gotta get back on that. But what do you call it there? I've been just trying to get my truck together and get ready for the swap meet. So it's really a lot of going through parts and that sort of thing. So between work, 40 hours a week, life, and doing YouTube, it's complicated. It's difficult, and it's not much. We're not making any money, so this everything that we do is out of pocket. So if you guys have a chance to purchase a cup or a shirt, all those help. Super chats help. Any type of support helps out, and it helps out in a big way because literally everything I do has been out of pocket. So I'm sharing 30 years experience, and it's very difficult on YouTube because YouTube don't pay jack, literally. So, and I appreciate everything. So you guys have been amazing, and I can't wait to see you guys at the swap meets, and we're gonna see what happens next year. I really do. Hi, Andrew. Hi. So one of the other things I want to talk about real quick is air filters and why they're so important. Okay, air filters are important because not only do they filter the air going into the engine, they stop all the fine particles. They protect your engine. Without them, your engine will die. I mean, it's just no ifs, ands, what's about it. And do not be fooled by the high flowing air filters. If it's a high flowing air filter, that means it doesn't protect as well. It is impossible to make an air filter that has OEM protection and high flow, like the K&N air filter, for instance. It's a good filter, but you give up the safety of keeping your engine protected to a better flow. Yeah, it's a short term gain, but it's a long term loss. So keep that in mind. Um, One of the other things it does is it holds back some of the air. So the venturi is the throat of the carburetor, and the air flows through. As the air's flowing through, it sucks up fuel from the main jet or the idle jet, depends upon where the slide is. Okay. Now, if you have no air filter or a high flowing air filter, okay, now you're introducing more air to the engine, but you didn't increase your jet size. So this creates a lean condition, which can also burn up your engine and cause those scoring I was telling you earlier on the exhaust side. Okay, that's a big thing. So when you modify a two-stroke engine needs to be sealed, not like a four-stroke. Four-stroke has a PCV valve; it wants to vent. A two-stroke doesn't want to vent. That's the difference between a two and a four-stroke. Four strokes want to vent. Two strokes do not. They want to be sealed up tight. They need to be sealed up tight to run properly. Okay, so that can cause scoring and cause that type of failure, a lean condition failure. Um, Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, the air filter. So you want an OEM air filter because that air filter is matched with your carburetor and jetting, okay, and exhaust system. Consequently, if you put an expansion chamber on a bike, a big one, okay, you go up to this, you bought this nice FMH if you could find one on your dirt bike. You bought this nice big FMH, and this thing's like 30 horsepower right out of the box. I mean, you bolt this on, you better hold the on, right? Okay, there's more to it than that. You will have to jet because you have the intake side. Okay, so if you have like a high flowing air filter, you have to jet for that. You're going to have to jet if you have a high flowing exhaust system too, because now the exhaust isn't being. It's they don't call it restricted. It's called scavenging, but it'll exit too quickly. If it exits too quickly, then it can also cause a lean condition. So you could have a lean condition because you change your air filter. You could have a lean condition if you change your exhaust. Now, say you have a factory exhaust, okay, and you decide, or you buy a bike and it doesn't have the baffle. You either took it out or you removed it. With the removal of that baffle, the exhaust goes out quicker and it has it creates a lean condition. What's this, Bob? I'm 57. The way you explain things is so much. It's such a It's awesome. You are a great teacher. I will check on you. Oh, awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you, Bob. Um, so those things cause lean conditions. Lean conditions cause the cylinder to burn up because it's like a cutting torch. When you have that nice crisp blue flame with the three fingers and you're ready to cut through steel, right? If you know how to use a torch, you'll know that those three fingers can cut through steel. When you add oxygen, the minute you get that thing in, you hit that, you hear that. Psh, same thing. What you're doing is you're adding oxygen to the system. Okay, and when you do that, it causes that thing to heat up red hot. It'll burn a hole in your cylinder or your piston. It'll burn a hole at the ringland. It'll destroy your rings, and it'll cause a lean condition. The problem is you can do those type of things on a four stroke and get away with it because they don't run the same way a two stroke does. Okay, keep that in mind. So when you hear a bike and someone takes the baffle off and it's loud and crisp and you're like, yeah, okay, what you have to understand is that is hurting it if you don't jet for it. Okay, you could put a bigger jet in and match the fuel and air ratio, and then you'd be golden. But if you don't and you just take the baffle out, or the bike you bought the bike and it didn't have the baffle, now you're gonna have a problem. So these are things that you have to look for in these bikes. The other thing I hear a lot about is I have no spark. I need a coil. The man, the the brain's mentality is if it doesn't have spark, you need a coil, and this is not true. If you have Kawasaki and it has that gray coil or it's like a whitish color, okay, the 6 volt coils. I did a video one time and I showed, and it's on my channel. I tried shorting one out with a 12 volt battery on a 6 volt coil. Couldn't do it. I hooked it in through the plug port directly to the negative. Couldn't burn it out. I put it between the little black wire and the ground. Couldn't burn it out. I put it between the two of them. I couldn't burn it out. No matter which combination I did, I couldn't burn out this coil. It fired up every time. Those coils are basically built bulletproof. The 6 volt system started way back in the early days, like the original car manufacturers had 6 volt. The original Harley Davidsons had 6 volt. Everything was 6 volt back then. It was stupid reliable. Okay, you could not kill the 6 volt system. The problem today is people don't understand the 6 volt points system. Okay, when you have a bike that doesn't have when you have a bike that has a 6 volt system and it has no spark, the first thing you should be going for, the very first thing, spark plug, points, and condenser. Okay, that's called a tune-up. And back in the day, you used to bring your car to a mechanic and say, "Hey, tune it up for me, please." And they would put all new spark plugs in, plug wires, cap rotor, points, condenser, adjust them, set them, and then you'd be and check your time and your dwell, which is the distance of how long it's been open for. Okay, that's how it was done back in the old heyday. That technology was used all the way up to 1996, where the KE100s had points in them. Okay, before the electronic ignition. So the problem is if you brought your bike in 1996 to a Kawasaki dealer, they didn't know what points were. Okay, they'd be like, "Oh, hey, Mr. Bergeron, we put a new coil in. We think your magneto is bad. We're gonna have to get you a new magneto, and we think it's your charging system. It's not. It was the points and condenser. It's the most overlooked thing. Hmm. You guys gotta get yourself one of these cups. They're awesome. Anyway, so that's what you did for a tune-up back then, and then you get a couple of years out of the bike, and then be like, time for another tune-up. Okay, and that's just how it was. Now we find these bikes in the garage, and we can't figure out why they're not running right. They're skipping out there. It has a hesitation. Well, let's just get rid of it. We'll replace the coil. We'll get one from eBay. And I did videos on this. Those coils are garbage. If you have an OEM coil, clean it, fix it, check your grounds, put it back to use, because I have not yet seen a bad 6 volt coil. I don't even know if one exists. If you have a KE100, a KM100, or a KD80, and it has a bad coil, I will pay you for that coil. I would love to see it. I would love to test it. I have not yet seen one. And I've been doing this for over 30 years. Have not seen a bad coil. Now, I got to tell you something. So I'm going to share a story with you that happened with my brother Clay and me with my KD80. So I was a kid. My brother gives me my first KD80. He says, "Kevin, I got this bike. I think you're going to like it. It's your size. Perfect." I'm like over the moon. I'm 10 years old. I'm getting a dirt bike for my big brother. I'm over the moon. Bike doesn't have spark. Okay. Can't get the thing running. So he says to me, he goes, I don't have a spark plug or anything. I can't check for spark. He goes, "Hold the coil wire." So I'm over there holding the coil wire, and he's kicking and kicking and kicking. Nothing's happening. So he's cleaning and adjusting the points. Now, we didn't have manuals back in the 80s and 80s and 90s. Okay, you couldn't get these things. They were hard. There was no internet. You couldn't just go online to, Google, okay, this the book number I need, and then go on to Amazon and order it. It wasn't that back then. Okay, you didn't have that option, didn't have that luxury. So anyway, he's over there. All of a sudden, this thing lights. I was getting electrocuted. I kid you not. He was loving it. So yeah, that was my big brother picking on the little brother story. But the bike was cool. So yeah, there's that. So what do you call it there? So yeah, that was my ignition story right there for my big brother Clay. The one who gave me the truck, by the way. So that was super cool. Um, and there was one other thing too. When you if you look at my yeah here's a modification you can do without jetting. Okay, if you look at my Kawasaki KE 102 build, right? So there's a window of opportunity, of course. An area of modification that you can do that doesn't require jetting and could help you out. Okay, not so much get more air, but get more air to the filter. Okay, so you'll notice on that bike build, the KE 102 build, that I modified the air filter a little bit. I got a little bit more air to go into the air box. Okay, that means that the same amount of air is going to go through the filter and into the carburetor. However, it will just have more awesome mark. Yeah, it's a what do you call it? Yeah, you die. Yeah, yeah. Trust me, I did too. I was like, just a kid. But what do you call it there? You're getting literally more air into the air box. So that means when you're on the high throttle, you, the air is right there and it can be easily brought in. When you have an air filter restriction, okay, that's when you lose power. There's not enough air for the engine to pull. The engine's an air pump. So what I said sounds kind of contradicting. So I'm going to try wording it a little different. The air going through the filter is the same as if you didn't have a modified box. However, the where the air filter is and the space around the filter, that's kind of like an air reservoir, if you will. If you can get more air into the air reservoir, then the engine can breathe a little better. It's not going to give you so much power on the low end, but on the top end, when you really need to draw in the air, it's going to be there for you. And then you'll still have the the OEM restriction from the air filter, if that makes sense to you, and it will breathe the way it's intended. So, just a little modification on that. If you open up your baffles on your bike, the bike will be louder. There will still be a restriction, but on that one, you will have to reject. Okay, so that's the fine line. If you open up the air box so the air box has more air in it, you don't need a jet because the air filter is still going to be the OEM air filter. Unless you put a K&N in there, then you'll have to reject because the airflow will be too fast. The exhaust, if you remove or modify the baffle or put on an expansion chamber, you'll have to reject. Even though the baffle is in place, you opened it up, the flow is better, so that means you have to reject, if that makes sense to you. It's one of those things where um, it's like right on the cusp, you know. So you kind of want to, and you want to monitor, and any modification you do. This is the other thing. It's the most important overlooked thing. You always want to modify. You always want to monitor your engine temperature. You can use one of those laser guns there that they sell at Home Depot or Lowe's. Electronic zapper gun, and it'll tell you the temperature. All bikes are going to run at different temperatures, but ride your bike ride around, around the streets a couple of times before you do the modification. And then pick a spot on your engine or on your cylinder, I should say. Pick a spot on your cylinder, zap it. That's going to be your relative. That's going to be your spot. Okay, mark it. That's your spot. Now you're going to do your modification. You're going to see if the engine runs cooler, the same, or hotter. Okay, that's going to give you a baseline. If the engine is running hotter, go up on the jet. Okay, if the engine is running cooler, go down on the jet. That's the best way to go because you want to have your baseline. You want to have the temperature at where you want it. So, or where it was at. Canada, nice, perfect. Like you, yeah, cool, 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 cool. Hey, Andrew, I got some Canada flags over here. You guys can see where the different countries are. I had an email from Germany the other day. It was pretty cool. So it's pretty neat to be fixing these bikes all over the world. So it's right here from Canada. Right there. Right?
Oh yeah.
Is that pretty cool?
Yeah,
So,
pretty cool.
what is it there? Canada here tools. How much? 70 miles from north. Wow. That's cool. That's cool. Man, it's pretty neat to be able to sit in my living room and chat with people from all over the world. Canada, right up the highway. I gotta tell you guys, I gotta tell you a Canada story. I actually have a funny Canada story. So I was living in New Hampshire, okay? New Hampshire borders Canada, obviously, you guys know that. So there's a town in New Hampshire called Candia, not Canada, Candia. All right. So I'm taking my niece driving, and she's driving. She's got a permit, and we're going through Candia, right? And she's like, "Huh?" And I says, "What?" And she goes, "I didn't know we were so close." I go, "No, no, no. That's Candia, not Canada." So I thought I had to share that with you. I've been to the Canada border. I never been to Canada. My buddy and I, we took my CB350 that I got back. He was going through a hard time, and I said, "Hey, let's go for a ride." So we rode all the way through New Hampshire on that bike and went all the way up to the Canadian border and turned around, came back. So I was wearing in New Hampshire, you don't need a helmet, so I wasn't wearing my helmet. I was wearing my sunglasses, and we get to this little hole in the wall place in Pittsburgh, New Hampshire. And it's called Barubi's, and it's like a sub shop, a little corner store. They sold tackle, all kinds of cool stuff, New Hampshire memorabilia, and everything. So the girl behind the counter, I had to get gas, so I'm like, I'm gonna get, I think it was like $8. I'm like, I want to put $8 in my fuel tank, and I took my glasses off like this. Well, the wind had gotten around my glasses, and all the white in my eyes were turned red. They were bloodshot, right? And that girl, she had to have been like 16, 17 years old. She jumped back. I looked at my best friend. I'm like, "What's wrong with my eyes?" That was awesome. He's like, "Dude, your eyes are bloodshot." They didn't bother me or nothing, though. It was awesome. Oh, but no, we don't have. No, I don't. You know who did Jim Carrey, who did a comedy skit a long time ago about Canada. He's like, "It was a desolate wasteland. Me and Nantucket had to build an igloo, and we had to watch out for flying. What do you call it? There, flying hockey pucks. It was comical. Check that out. Yeah, Jim Carrey. I love that guy. Yep, love him. So funny. But yeah, no, it was just some of the things that you guys are bringing back core memories. So yeah, it was pretty cool. So back on the air filter and all that, when you're tuning a bike, temperature is key. Temperature is basically when you have a bike that's running mint, okay, running mint, and you take it for like a mile ride, okay, you want to keep a notepad with the temperature on there. The temperature is basically going to tell you what your temperature is in the combustion chamber. So, any modifications, any hiccups, maybe you put the wrong spark plug in. Maybe sometimes the heat range could change just a little bit. It all makes a difference. If maybe your air filter's plugged, okay, clogging up. Maybe you were driving your bike through a dusty area and your air filter started to clog up. Okay, when that happens, it's a real restriction and you lose power. But the engine's still trying to heat up. Okay, now my bike is not running right. Let's go and take a temperature and take a look and see what's going on. Typically, when an air filter clogs up, you know it's clogging up. I mean, it doesn't want to run, hesitates, kept stalling, whoop, 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 And if you have an older bike, it's hard to find the air filters. So, like the UNI filters, those are great filters, but they're not OEM. So, this is one of the things that this is actually brought up a good topic. The OEM air filter is a pleated paper filter. Okay, it looks like just a regular mesh air filter. When you put in a UNI air filter, that is a high flowing air filter. Okay, it says OEM compatible because it fits in the OEM placement, but it is not the same filtration as OEM. Paper and foam flow two different ways. So keep that in mind when you use those. Because I run UNI on mine, but all my bikes are running an 80 jet. So like my KE, my KM, and my KD are all running 80 jets. That was another secret there, guys, by the way. Your bikes are probably running like a 79 and a half. I went up a half a jet to 80. Um, where do I find these 80 jets? They're in the 96 to 2001 KE 100, and they fit everything else except if you have that square carburetor from like the 1980. Other than that, it'll fit. It'll be perfect. So that takes care of that. But the high flowing air filters. But sometimes you'll see these air filters that look like they're falling apart. They're very brittle. I don't want to touch it. I'm just going to ride the bike the way it is. And if I notice it gets really dirty, then I'll change it. That is a big no. Here's why. Because that air filter is like 15, 20 years old. It starts to deteriorate and break apart. And then the engine is breathing that crap in. Also, like on the KE100s, the KM, and the KDs, it has the air filters on top of the back of the block. And then when you take the side cover up to access the carburetor, you might notice it's all dirty in there. Detail that, clean that all out. Because if you see it, the engine's breathing it. Okay? You want that whole area clean. Clean it as best as you can. Put something over the horn of the carburetor, the air horn of the carburetor, and spray that all out. Get that all out of there. Carburetor clean it. Just clean it all out because you don't want any dirt in there, and make sure the gasket and the seals are all there. Very, very important. Very important. Geez, guys, I'm going right through everything tonight. This is awesome. Spark plugs. The correct spark plug for your bike. When you look in the manuals, like on the KE100s, is the BHES. Okay, BHES is the black plug for the points, right? They don't have that no more. It's a BP now. If you see BP8HS, that just means the P is for protruding. So if you're looking at the plug, you'll see the white porcelain. It protrudes past it. The same. What do you call it? The heat range, the same resistance, all that type of stuff is the same. Or the BPR8HS. That plug is the same as well. That's the resistor plug. For the blue plugs are for the 96 to 2001. So far.
I can't keep the air outside.
You can come in. That's fine. I'm almost done.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so pretty cool stuff. Make sure you get the correct plug for your bike. What is heat range? Heat range is the spark plug's ability to clean itself. It'll have like, how do you know if you have too hot of a heat range? The plug will turn white. It'll be like porcelain white. If you have Bear, go lay down. Come on.
Yeah, come on.
Go see mama. If your plug is too cold, it'll start to have a lot of the carbon sticking to it. It'll be dirty. What is the best looking plug? Is kind of like a rusty color. It's like a tinge of yellowish, like oranges to it. That is a correctly burning plug. I'm going to show some on another chat. I have to do it, unfortunately, after I do the giveaway. So if you guys have any guesses for how many spark plugs are in that bin, go to my last live chat that I did the other day when I advertised it, and put your guesses in there because we're doing a giveaway. We're giving away what do you call it, a hoodie. We're giving away a plate and some super clean products. So make sure you go over to that last video and put your where you're from and your what you call it there, your guess. A lot of good guesses, but they got to be on that video. It can't be on this one. So if they're on this video, it doesn't count. You got to go back to that last video for the giveaway. But yeah, there's wrong way. Just splashed myself. So yeah, I'm gonna do a video on the spark plugs. They show you guys what they look like, what they're supposed to look like, and what do you call it there, and what a one plug looks like. I have literally a lot of spark plugs in a bin. So I'm going to show you what a spark plug looks like when an engine is about to detonate. I got a bunch of those in there too. And I will tell you, I've been doing this for a long time. And I can tell you any plug, the carbon, the fouling, um, resistor plugs on two strokes was a bad idea from the get go. I don't like it. I understand why they have them. It's for the resistance for the CDI. But if they get fouled, they're junk. That's it. They're junk. Throw them away. Get another plug. The black plugs, the black writing plugs, you could typically take a wire brush, clean them up, pop them back in. If the electrode's not worn out, regap them and put them back in. So remember that, guys. When you're working on your bike, start off with the basics. Okay. Oh, awesome, Mark. That's cool. And Tina, how you doing? Greetings from Canada. Another Canada. Wow, that's great. So yeah, like I said, um, just start with the basics. If you get a bike, the first thing you should do to any bike anyway, because you want the bike to be reliable. Points, plug, condenser. Get those done first. Air filter, change the oil, and call it happy. And once again, I'm going to be doing another diagnostic video of non-running. I have a bike that hasn't ran in a very long time. It's a 1986 KE100. Hasn't ran in a long time, and I'll be getting that bike up and running on the channel probably after the swap meet, because the next week or so I'll be working on getting the stuff all prepped up and going through all my parts and pieces and all that type of stuff. Oh, awesome. 76, same year as me, KH100. That's a great bike. Also, the KH100 and the G3SS Kawasaki are a brother and sister. Those are the same bikes, just like the Trail Boss 100 and the KV 100. Same bike. The MC1 and the KM 100, same bike. And KD and KM KD 100, also the same bike. So those are the brothers and sisters of that family. I do a lot of those on the channel. I love that particular style bike. It's just my favorite style bike. What was there? So yeah, if you guys have a chance to come down to Ricerama, I'll be down there September 7th and 8th. And I believe it's open to the public on the 8th. I think it was setting up on the 7th. I think it's a one-day affair. But there'll be all kinds of stuff down there. I got to look up the logistics of that. But I'll be down there with my truck, my van, and be getting rid of some parts, meet and greet. Come get yourself some apparel. And if you don't have a chance to get down there and you want to help support the channel, go right onto the store. Go right onto my main page here, and you'll see the products right underneath. Click on any of that. Any help will help. Really appreciate that. So you guys have been absolutely awesome. I want to say thank you guys again for hanging out with me on a two-stroke Tuesday, and we did some tech. which has been what I wanted to do for a while. So the next tech, I think what I'm going to do next week on the live is I'm going to show you how to check your points and condenser with the how I explained it earlier on in the video. I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. I still have that Suzuki motor. I'm going to bring that in and I'm going to show it to you. It's just a really cool. It's one of those type of tips and tricks that just it's a quick, easy, simple. Are my points and condenser good? Let's find out. And then I'll show you how to do it. And this right here eliminates so many problems. And if you can, I'm going to teach you guys how to isolate ignition components so you can check each one. So we're going to do it a step by step. And I have a spark plug that is burnt out. So I'm going to show you guys a false spark. Yeah, it's pretty cool. You're going to learn some really cool stuff on the next Two Stroke Tuesday. So next Two Stroke Tuesday, I'm going to literally be doing tech on. You're going to see the engine and everything. We're not even going to do it in the air. We're probably going to do it out in the back of the van on the bench. I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to do it. And so yeah, that's a really good one. So anyway, guys, I'm going to get off for the night. I'm exhausted. It's been a long day and I got to get up super early. And tomorrow's my son's first day of school. So I do want to just say thank you guys for all you guys been doing, hanging out with me, and all the support. The support means a lot, especially right now going through what we're going through with the channel and all the different things. So any support helps. I really appreciate it. A cup, a mug, whatever, a shirt, a plate, anything. So if you guys have a chance to get over to the store, that's a great way to help support the channel. I haven't been on forever, but thanks for the stream. Oh, thank you, James. Yeah, I know. It's crazy it being back and doing it. Oh, hold on, guys. Look at my mascot's here. You want to say hi? You say hi, Bear. You say hi. Look right there. See, my dog is looking at me like, dude, I need to go for a walk. All right. So you need to end this live stream now. That's what you're saying, right? Yeah. He's just looking at me intensely, mind you. So that's my chocolate lab. His name is Bear, and you see him all the time in my videos. So anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I will talk to you guys next Tuesday. Look, I don't know. Do you have your voice mix? Thank you. I appreciate that, Mark. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. It's this wasn't easy for me to start doing. I'm self-conscious and stuff like that, but I'm because of you guys make it so it is like this is like a bunch of guys from America, Canada, and everywhere all just hanging out in the garage, just talking bikes, which is super cool. So I want to say thank you guys. Thank you, Mark and Tina. So anyway, guys, I gotta take him out. So I'll talk to you guys later. I'm out.